my stuff needs to look like my stuff. I could have my favorite artist actually like see the stuff I make. I met Tyler the Creator. I didn't take photos of him. You know, what it comes down to is it's all just Jesse. And if you want something cool done, you can come to me. We'll try to make it happen.
It might seem obvious to say, but Banksy wouldn't be what he is today without the internet. It seems difficult to remember now that the people didn't have the internet at home in the early 90s when Banksy was learning the ropes. But the all-pervading sharing machine that the internet became is undoubtedly what allowed for street art to become the phenomena that it is in the early days, and it may simply be disconnected to subculture. The work is always worthy of a photograph, and those photographs can be shared and argued over online. Moreover, his pranks and stunts are perfect fodder for gossip, comment, and vicious troll wars. He is quite simply digital gold. Jesse, welcome to the podcast. This is a book that basically describes Banksy's life and the meaning behind all his work. And just like the last word that I read, digital gold, that's what you create. I thought that it would be an amazing book to give you as a present.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. It's fire. I like Banksy. My
Yeah.
girlfriend hates the work of Banksy, but I personally like it.
What do you like about it?
I think my girlfriend always says it's pretty corny, but I actually like the corniness about it. I like the shredding that he did. I like the fake stand that he did. Those stunts. Dismaland was cool. So I actually like that approach to art, as he's a first to approach art in that way. Not really, because he obviously like takes a lot of inspiration from like Warhol and people like this, but I don't know. I feel like the way he like indeed like uses the internet as a tool, uses the media as his tool. It's pretty funny.
What do you think
Yeah.
about his identity? Because that's still today not revealed, right?
Also, that's like a funny thing, right? Like that's all like a stunt. Obviously, it's a smart stunt. It makes people talk about you. It makes people wonder. There's plenty of books, documentaries about speculating who this guy is. Like fan made documentaries. People dedicate their whole life to finding out who this person is. That's great marketing. That's a hilarious stunt. He's probably sitting in his house laughing his ass off every day. His friends probably do the same. Also with eavesdropping, like people that know him eavesdropping certain names and hinting at certain people, just to shut it down a couple months later. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing, and so are you, and we'll get into that. So I'll start with the intro. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? We're doing well. Hope you're doing well as well. And today we're here with a brand new episode of the Success Show. And today we're joined by Jesse. Jesse is someone that pursues many passions, and he's very passionate about all the things that he pursues. He's namely a photographer, a creative director, and also a brand owner. And it's super interesting to see how he combines all of this and fits this into his days, because I can imagine there are very busy days, and we'll talk about all that. So yes, I would like to start. How did you start with all of this, and namely photography, I guess, because that's one of the first things that you really
Hmm.
got into.
Yeah. How I started, I mean, I've always had an interest in photo, video, pretty much for as long as I could remember. I was making stuff on Windows Movie Maker, my cousins, when I was 9 years old. So that's been an interest. Then when I was in what we in the Netherlands is, I guess, high school, the equivalent. I needed to choose a path. I was really bad at most classes. I was good at arts and crafts, that kind of stuff. And then I had to do like a college type thing, MBO. And so I went to an art school in my hometown, mainly for design, because I was into photoshopping and that kind of stuff. I mean, I didn't know anything about it, but that was an interest of mine, drawing, that kind of stuff. and one of the classes we had was video, and I just kind of got into, like, my dad got me a camera, and I kind of got into video and photo because of that. Always had an interest in music, and so as soon as we needed to do an internship for school, I hit up the only rapper that's from the area in the country I'm from. Is an artist called Kanch Puppy. I was like, hey man, I'm looking for an internship. I'm a big fan of your music. Would love to do an internship with you. I'm like 16 at the time. Came down to his office, showed him my stuff. He was like, yo, I'm down. Let's do it. He kind of like took me everywhere, taking photos, filming. I worked on a bunch of like cover arts for him. I worked on some music videos. He kind of quickly trusted me with anything he had going on for himself. And at the time, he had a record label. He like had a few artists signed under him. Just kind of trusted me with whatever. And that's really what sparked my interest in photography around that time. Because like I started doing graphics and videos, but the more I took photos, I realized that, you know, taking a photo is kind of like making an artwork just in person, not on Photoshop. So that's really what sparked my interest, and it kind of stuck with it from there. Started hitting up other artists in the country. Ended up moving first to Utrecht, then to Amsterdam, and that's where I like really started pursuing that.
What was it like to move? Because you came from a very small town, right? What
Hmm.
was it like to move from such a small town to Amsterdam, which is the capital of a lot?
Um, I mean, it mainly just opened a lot of doors because yeah, the town I'm from specifically, Stadskanaal, you know, nothing really happens. We had a club, Busy, who I work with a lot. I did meet at that club, so you know, small stuff would happen. But Amsterdam for me was just a place that obviously all my potential clients, like artists, other photographers, photo studios, all that stuff is there. It's way more accessible. The airport, I could just go to Paris, go to London, just like that. As to where, if I'm in Susquehanna, we don't even have a train station, so getting anywhere is a mission. So that's what changed it mainly. Is just everything and everyone was way more accessible. It was easy for me to, if someone said, hey, let's shoot tomorrow, I could be like, okay, name a time and I'm there, because everyone simply like lives in and around that city, so it just made stuff more easy.
And you quickly mentioned your dad and that he bought you a camera before.
Hmm.
Did you grow up in a creative household?
100%. My dad's a musician, and my mom's an artist. I wouldn't say she like paints a lot. I wouldn't say she's a painter, but she makes custom clothes and stuff like that. She works flowers now. She like makes bouquets, so she just creates stuff. My dad's a musician, and he also has a web shop in music memorabilia. So music and just making stuff, and very much like not regular jobs, was a big part of my life always. My dad worked from home. He has an office next to our house. So that whole, like, my whole upbringing was very much a creative upbringing, and my dad's a freelancer, and that's like a kind of vibe I've always been around. Yeah.
And you also talked about your interest for video. I mean, obviously now you're doing a lot of photo.
Hmm.
At what point did you kind of make a decision? Okay, I want to go this direction, or and what were the reasons also?
I mean, I still like to do video from time to time. My brother is a video director. Over the past 2 years, during the COVID times where I wasn't able to travel as much, we did a bunch of videos together for more local artists in the Netherlands and Belgium. I still like to do that. I just, I don't know. I don't have a clear reason for it. It's just I like to do photo more currently. But it's something that like quite easy change for me as well. It's just I kind of like to do if I'm feeling that next week I want to try to do a bunch of videos again, then I'll just do that. But for now, and for the past couple of years, photo has just been my interest more. I have more passion for it.
What is one of the coolest projects you've worked on when it comes to photo?
I mean, there's a bunch because I've done so many like different things on different levels. Like what I definitely one that I really liked that was just like a cool experience was when I went on tour with this artist called Thouxanbanfauni. He's an artist I've been listening to ever since I was young myself. I was really into his music. His manager is a good friend of mine, and when they were going on a Europe tour, they were like, "Yo, you should just tag along, take photos," and that was a great experience because I've had tour experiences before that, but this was so much like fun, and the moments I captured with him were so candid and so intimate. Like I've worked with big artists like Wale, went on tour with him, really capturing like good show stuff. Like here's a performance, here's a venue, and we shoot that, and that's it. And with Fawny, it was like we had days of just like we went to Paris, we just strolled around the city for days. We went to Germany. We all like stayed in the same Airbnbs. We didn't have hotel rooms. We just had like huge Airbnbs with 6 rooms. We were just in there eating together, sleeping together. Pause. And no, just like we always like in the same house and just always have my camera around. Just being able to like, capture like hungover moments, like sitting in the living room drinking a coffee from a beer cup because that's the last clean cup. Those kind of moments. That was definitely a really cool a really cool experience. Right now, I tour with a band called Emotional Oranges. I love that. Like I'm really doing cool stuff with them. We just came back from Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa 2 weeks ago. I'm going to Iceland next week. We did the whole of Europe earlier this year. We went to Korea. So with them, I'm like seeing, like literally seeing the whole world while taking photos for them. So that's a cool project. Yeah.
Could you
And
tell me some more about that? Like for example, like a day in the life of Jesse when you're on tour with them. Like you wake up and like they're there and you guys go on like how does all that work?
depends on the artist, of course, but in the specific case of Emotional Oranges, it's pretty cool. It's a really cool crew. We're having fun mostly, which is why I like it a lot. Like it's a definitely big part of the big part of the process for me is to enjoy it and to have fun. So we have a cool crew. Often with like traveling and stuff, it's pretty stressful. In Europe, we did a bus, so we drove all over Europe. But in Australia, we had flights, so it's do the show, go to bed, wake up 6 a.m., be downstairs at the lobby, drive to the airport, fly to the next city, and when you get to the next city, you sound check, you do a show, and you sleep again. So it's pretty intense, but it's definitely a fun experience, and kind of every day is different too. It's not I wouldn't say there's a real like, oh, this is a day in the life. Like in for example, when we went from Brisbane to New Zealand, we had a delay. We had like 2 hours to get from the airport, pick up our bags, shower, do the sound check until the doors of the venue opened and the fans were like let in. So it was like a super hectic day. Other days it's more chill. Like when we were in Brisbane, we had a free day. We just went shopping. We go into the city, had a nice lunch. So every day is different, but it's always pretty fun.
Do you like that every day is different? Because I know there are many people that like a routine, like a standard routine. You wake up at 8, and do your training, and then you start working from 9 to 5. Are you someone that enjoys that, or do you like the volatility, the difference every day? It's exciting. and also you kind of taking a risk, right? Because it's like sometimes there are projects, sometimes there's no
Hmm.
projects.
Yeah. No, I definitely like it. I definitely like it. In a specific case of touring, I do think it's I wouldn't do like I have friends that tour with artists that go on like 3 month world tours. That would probably be a bit too intense. But as we're going like 2, 3, 4 weeks, like I think it's pretty fun. You see a bunch of different places, do a bunch of stuff. I think the stress, it sounds weird, but stress is fun to deal with as well. It keeps a day exciting. If everyone's like, we gotta go, we gotta go, it keeps it exciting. So yeah, I like that.
Do you have specific ways to manage stress? Because I can imagine also when you're a photographer, you have those same day edits, everything has to go fast. I
Hmm.
mean, do you have a specific way, or is it just natural to you that you can just deal with that?
Um, I I don't. I try to not think about stress because I'm not good with real stress. So I try to not think about it. I'm always honest. Like if I feel like I can't make a deadline because of certain circumstances, I'll be upfront about it. I'll be like, "Hey man, it's a difficult day. We got a flight. We got this. We got that. I'm not gonna make 4 p.m. It's gonna be a bit later tonight." But in general, I just try to. Most of my days I do day by day, especially while traveling and stuff. I just try to wing it. I am pretty fast. I know of myself, like I'm pretty fast with photo editing, so like I don't need too long for it. So I try to just squeeze it in. Often I'll do it right the same night. Like we get back to the hotel, take a quick hour to go to the photos, stuff like that. But yeah, I try to not think of stress too much because that won't help, especially if you're with a group. It's not gonna help if someone is super stressed and not knowing what to do. So I try to just do my part and do it as good as I can.
Like now we're just casually talking about you going on world tours from New Zealand to Iceland and to Australia and
Hmm.
Korea. Like that's insane. But I can imagine like your work, like you're climbing up a ladder in a way, right? Like you do a project and then that project leads to something else and you
Hmm.
get to know new people. What were some key moments that made you like level up your just your work?
Um, in the beginning, like just when I got done with my internship at Country Puppy, literally the day before my final day, ASAP Mob had this event called Yams Day that they organized for their friend that passed away and founder of the group. They do it every year, and at the show, like 2 days before the show, someone in the team hit me up, said, "Hey, we like your stuff," and I had made like kind of like a fan art thing. They were like, "We like your stuff. Could you send us some graphics that we could use?" And I did. And then 2 days later, the event was, and they used it as like a background for the performance as a part of it. And so that was a real moment for me. Like instantly when I moved, because I moved to Amsterdam or first Utrecht quite shortly after that, and that was a real moment for me where I kind of realized like, yo, these people, like I got them following me on Instagram. They're accessible. This is possible. This is also around the same time I started to do photos. So all that like kind of went in the same, and that was a real changing moment for me because that was the first time I really felt like I could I could achieve international stuff and I could have my favorite artists actually like see the stuff I make and they know who I am. So out of that I met a couple people. Definitely want to say a couple people, a crew called Gang Activity from France, and a guy called Brian Kuntach from France, and then my friend Jonathan, who manages a bunch of artists in LA, a friend in Amsterdam, Lino. They all like they were in this world. They threw events, managed artists, and they really took me under their wing ASAP Tawa and his manager Michael really did as well. And I was just starting, and they really started to like bring me to events like whenever they came to Europe or whatever they or an other artist I liked that they knew came to Europe, they would like get me in contact and just like, hey, he's doing this photography thing. You should link with him. Really, those people really like helped me out in the beginning. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody, but yeah, those people really like in the beginning helped me out. So that was a big changing moment as well. And then for now, like lately, it's been like, yeah, with Emotional Oranges, it's just that the lead singer in the band, like, we've known each other for 3 years by accident. I just went to a party where they performed in Amsterdam. That was also their first Amsterdam show. About 6 months later, he was in Amsterdam again and he needed something done for Spotify, a billboard. And I had never done a billboard before. But and he just knew, and he just had my number. And I was in his phone, I guess it's like photographer Amsterdam or something. And he just hit me up. He's like, "Yo, are you available tonight to shoot this billboard for Spotify? We have like there was nothing set up, no like no studio. We had to shoot in the backstage of a venue. But we did, and like 3 days later, it was like a huge billboard in Toronto with my picture. And that's like, and now they taking me on tour and stuff. So that's been a huge moment for me as well. They really giving like bringing my stuff to new heights. There's like multiple moments like this, but I think those are a few key ones and a few key people that really helped me, believed in me, that I'm very appreciative of.
What does it feel like when you see like one of your own photographs on a big billboard or a famous artist that you look up to post your work? What does it do when you see that?
The billboard thing the first time was crazy. It was in Toronto. I never had a billboard here. I never had a billboard in Amsterdam or in the Netherlands. And so the first one was like a huge one in Toronto. I don't know if anyone knows, but like in Toronto, I haven't seen it in person, but there's apparently this huge square that it kind of looks like Times Square ish, and there's one huge center square billboard that Spotify rents out, and that's what it was on. So it was the biggest billboard on the square, and that was really crazy. I wish I saw it in person. Never got to see it in person, but that was a crazy moment. There's been a couple times where artists like from here put my stuff on billboards later. Like I did a couple with Frenna, Joost put my picture on a billboard in Rotterdam. It's fire. It's just cool to like see your stuff that big, and what I also really like about it is that it kind of means that that picture I took is the picture the artist would want to see himself. Like, they choose that image. So it's like, oh, they get the opportunity to put themselves on a billboard and they choose my picture. So that's something I really appreciate too.
It's awesome, and you mentioned the word of mouth that spread and that led you to all these different artists. But I can imagine there are also some projects where you reach out to an artist. And I saw an interview that you wrote. I never write emails. I only send DMs. Could you tell us some more about like that approach and that like, new approach of getting projects and connecting with people?
Oh yeah, all those people I just mentioned that helped me in the beginning, I knew them because of Instagram and Twitter. I would I would literally find out who every artist I liked, who their manager was, who their agent was, DJ was. Just hit them up like, oh, I see so and so's coming to Amsterdam. I'm an upcoming photographer. Can I come to your show? And same with when I still did graphics, would hit up people like, hey, I'll make you a cover art for free. In the very this fly is very annoying. In the very beginning, before I even did photos, I had like done artwork for Rich the Kid, OG Mako, Loyati, all through just DMing them and saying, "Hey, I would like to do an artwork for you," and they replied like, "Okay, let's do it." Yeah. So it's a big part. It's like we have. I mean, we're in a world where in an era where you don't need to be close to an artist. You don't need to be in Hollywood in a bar with only celebrities to reach them. Like Justin Bieber is literally one Instagram DM away, and I know a lot of these people, and especially their managers and agents and whatnot. They really open those things. They're always looking for people to work with as well. So yeah, we got everyone. Basically, we got everyone in the same room already. It's just online, and so I think reaching out and just trying is really worth it. It did a lot for me. I know a lot of people through Instagram DM just asking them like, "Yo, can I do this? Can I work with you?" And yeah, a lot of people replied, and some of them stuck with me over the years. So
It's crazy. Just looking back, I think for you also, it's amazing to see. And what I'm really interested about is, did you ever doubt that you could make this creative career work? Because I know in the creative sector, it's always doubt. Oh, it's uncertain. There's no real stability, and then also parents come into play. Maybe. How did you experience that?
mm, I mean, definitely had moments where I thought, I mean, this very dumb moment, but like the first year that I moved to Amsterdam, I started like I was 18, 18 or 19. It's the first year like my company started making real money.
Are you talking about shots fired right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
shots fired and my own freelance company. It's
Okay.
just Jesse. I was working a lot with Busy. He just rebranded himself after leaving Yellow Claw. So and he just did my Dutch people will know Traag, the biggest song. So that was a huge success. Working a lot with him. Then he started managing and some other artists that he got us working for. Through that, I got more clients. Through my business partner at the time, I got new clients, and we're just like we had like projects on projects every week. So that was a great time. And then I spent all my money on stupid stuff because it was the first time I could do that. Like the first time I could like I bought Gucci shoes. For my roommate, we we just went on holidays, stupid stuff. And then after that year, my tax report came and I had to pay like shit ton of taxes, and I didn't have the money because I spent it all. That was a moment I thought, damn, I might have to go work in a grocery store now because I really fucked it up. Was really low point for sure, but kind of quickly picked it back up. Was like, okay, I'm gonna just pay this in installments, and I have to be more like it was a lesson. It's like I have to be more responsible with my money. Can't just blow it all on stupid stuff. And then over the years, I mean, obviously, sometimes I have like moments where like, oh, fuck all this shit, and like ever, I don't know, like if you ever have had like a creative block where like you need to come up with a concept and they want the concept within 3 days, and you're just sitting behind your laptop for 2 full days, like, fuck, I have no idea. So sometimes that, but there's no real point in my life where I was like, oh, I can't I can't do it. So sometimes you're like, oh, I wish it some stuff went faster, or some moments where you're just like, fuck it all. I hate this shit. I'm just get a normal job. But it doesn't last too long.
So you're experiencing those moments, and then, if I'm correct, in the last year you also started a brand, Double Warning.
Hmm.
You added that to your responsibilities. How has that been going? Because that's a complete new venture. I feel like.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's just something that I've always wanted to do. I had an slow attempt at doing a brand before this. When I met my current business partner, Miles, I met him like 3.5 years ago. He already was working on the idea. About a year later, we started having conversations because he was working with someone else first. We started having conversations about, just potential like marketing tricks I could help him with for the brand. He then kind of let it go for a while. And about a year and a half ago, we picked up the conversation and we're like, yo, okay, let's really, really try to do it. He came up with the whole idea, so he's been walking around with the idea for the brand for a while. I just needed to fill in the blanks, and obviously through photography and design, I know a bunch of artists, and I could bring in my connections in a lot of fronts. Like our graphic designer is someone that I know from doing Shots Fired. All the artists we've collabed with, I know from doing Shots Fired. We do stuff like Paris Fashion Week events, and I only know those are good and who to work with because of doing Shots Fired. So I just like stepped in to fill in those blanks and add to his concept. And over the past year, we just kind of really together been bringing it to life and trying to make it a real brand, do cool stuff. As for the responsibilities, like obviously there's a lot of stressful moments. It's a new thing for me, especially all the like like shipping orders and label creating, and then one goes wrong, and then they all go wrong. And you have to reprint, and it's stressful stuff sometimes. And where do you keep your stock, and where do you do this and do that? It's stressful stuff, but it's all for greater good, and it's all not that bad too. It's also stuff I like to do. It's stuff I like to learn. Sometimes if you know want to do something new, you I mean not sometimes, always when you want to do something new, you have to go through the difficult steps. Like nothing comes as easy as like just like when I just picked up a camera, I had to learn how the camera works. So we just started picking up this brand, and we're gonna have to learn how it works until we got it, fully unlocked, and until we got the capacity to hire people to do certain stuff. But it's been fun. We've been doing cool stuff. So far, and like we literally launched exactly 1 year ago next week, and we've done.
Congratulations, by the way. That's
Thank you.
insane.
We've done 3 pop-ups, 2 parties. We're planning a new pop-up. We're planning a new party. We're planning a big collection. So all going pretty well.
Tell me about the pop-ups, because obviously you guys attract a crazy crowd to
Hmm.
it. Like how, like, just I would like to know some more about that. Like the how do you bring all those people together, and then you have the clothes there. Like
Hmm.
how does that work?
So the very first one we did was like Miles' big time goal with the brand was the first thing we ever did, which is pretty funny, was ComplexCon in 2021. I involved Uno the Activist, Maddox, and ASAP Tawai. We had like meet and greet events at our. So if you don't know what ComplexCon is, it's like a trade show where like all the brands have like a booth. So we had like a booth. We had those artists do meet and greets. That obviously helped us a lot with the traction. Like people see those people hanging around your booth, they're gonna stick around as well. And like, what's this? Who's this? And then Miles had this like idea. It's just like funny. I liked it, but I didn't fully agree with it. It was like doing this stack of TVs with a visual on it. It was not that I loved the idea, but I just thought it was too much hassle. Like everything that came with it, like it was like 3 people needed to set it up for us and stuff. I was like, this is so much work. And he was like, no, no, we should do it. And that turned out to be the greatest decision ever, because like people would walk by and see that and then see the artist and be like, damn, what's going on here? This shit looks amazing. So that first one was instantly huge hit for us. Sold, almost sold out. So we were like, damn, okay, this is going really well. Then the second one we did was Paris, was our collab with ASAP Ty and ASAP Mob. Obviously had their crowd pull through. Usually during Paris Fashion Week, there's like a lot of Dutch people, so people that knew Miles and I, they pulled through. We had free drinks, so if you have free drinks, that usually
That works well.
pulls in some people. So that one was really good. That one really turned into like a block party. That was fire. And then most recent one, literally last week, was with 32. They're from Belgium. Friends of mine I've been working with for a long, long time. Was our first pop up in Amsterdam. So we expected it to be good because we expected like all of our friends and people we know to come through, but it was so much better than expected. Like we had like a full crowd the whole day, sold out the items. Havana Club sponsored our drinks. They had a whole bar. It's amazing to work with them. It was at Olery, my favorite store in Amsterdam. A beautiful store. So the whole thing was just perfect. And yeah, that's why we instantly said we're gonna do more pop-ups here in Belgium and Netherlands because yeah, we think we really got a good market out here and people really like it. People had a great time. We had a great time. That's also important. Pretty stress-free. So yeah, it's good.
Could you tell me some more about the brand? Because off camera we quickly talked about it, and you mentioned that you guys are helping good causes with it.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, just
Yeah.
oh,
So our like slogan is like made to care. So our whole thing has been like, so when Miles came up with global warming, obviously the name is a play. It's like warning on warming, but the brand is a warning. It's a warning sign. It's basically we try to bring awareness to certain topics, issues in the world. So we for every drop we partner with a good cause or a charity that we donate part of our proceeds to. And I feel like obviously sustainability, eco-friendly stuff is like a big topic in fashion nowadays. But I feel like brands that really go for that aesthetic of like donating and working with charities are often brands that target people who already care. And I think what we really trying to do is the opposite of that. We're trying to reach the people who are not actively participating in this yet, and we want to like make them aware of stuff through our brand. So we want to have people see our brand, think, "Wow, that's a nice hoodie, that's a nice T-shirt, whatever." And then when they hear the meaning behind it, you're like, "Oh, damn." So like for our first drop, we did buy a tea, plant a tree, and we actually planted 5 trees for every item we sold at Complex Con that was.
wow,
Then for the second one that we did with ASAP, we partnered with ASAP Foundation, something that ASAP Yam's mom started is for helping kids that have uh, basically drug and alcohol abuse issues. And the last one we did with Water Organization, they help families that don't have access to clean water get access to clean water. And so yeah, for every drop we try to add a social, economical, or environmental problem or cause to it, and bring some awareness to that. And on our socials, like we highlight the causes, and we're like, hey, for this drop, we partner with so and so, and this is their cause. Read into it. Our first shirts, they had hang tags with QR codes. If you scanned it, it would say you could. It was One Tree Plant, its website. You could plant a tree, stuff like that.
it's crazy to like learn more about the thought process that goes into a brand like that. Because most people just see the hoodies and like, oh, that's a cool hoodie, but so much effort and like time and different people
Hmm.
contributed to it, and it's sick to see the end result. I can imagine when you're in Amsterdam and all those people come, must be like amazing to see that.
Yeah, 100%. And I hope obviously to expand that like worldwide, and I want to do like I don't know. I really see it as a thing where people want to support the brand because they like the item, but also because they're contributing a little bit like to a better earth. Because we like, you know, we're still a small brand, but by doing this, I feel like every single one of our customers is doing a little bit, and we as a brand are trying to do as much as we can. Also in the production process of the clothing and stuff, we're very careful what we use, where we produce, and we try to get better at that every single item, every single drop. So yeah, I think I hope we can really expand that part and make as many people aware as possible.
Where do you see the brand in 5 years? Talking about like dream collaborations and all that.
I don't like to talk about dream collaborations in like name dropping because like first of all that's always subject to change. I mean, 2 years ago I might have said Kanye West. I mean, shit, 6 months ago I might have said Kanye West. You know, now
Yeah.
it's a bit different. So I don't I don't have dream collaborations for myself. I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for Miles. In the sense of any people. Obviously, there's people I would love to see wear my clothing. Like obviously, like Issa Rocky's the type of person that like dresses amazing. I would love to see him wear my stuff. I don't have dream collaborations like that, but I do have stuff like I would like to see our product in stores like Selfridges, Bijenkorf, you know, Maxfield, Los Angeles. Like I would love to see, and not even those specific stores, just like that level. I think in 5 years I would love to operate at that level where everywhere you go in the world you will find a store that carries our brand. Everywhere you go you will spot someone wearing like my a good friend of mine Abder. He's co-founder and co-owner of Daily Paper. That level I would love. Some like I go to LA or I'm in New York and I see people wearing his product and I know his brand is huge now, but still every time like if you're in New York and I see someone wear a Daily Paper, I'm like, oh, that's crazy, man. Like they're wearing the homie's brand. So
They have their own shop there as well now, right? They have their own shop
I
and
mean, yeah, they have their own shop in New York. And yeah, just like that kind of level, like obviously like you know, he's a huge inspiration to me as well. Like what they've been doing is crazy. Like Michelle Obama wear their brand, like Jay-Z wear their brand, like it's crazy. So just operating on those kind of levels, that's what I see for our brand as well.
where do you draw your inspiration from for all your projects? Because you obviously do a lot of different things. Are there some people, some key people, or perhaps nature or some elements that you find very inspiring?
I mean, I always say that I'm very inspired by everyone around me. Like most of my friends are creatives, whether it's like producers, videographers, photographers, rappers, musicians, whatever, like painters. Almost all my friends do creative stuff, and that inspires me a lot. Like real life things and just being around real life things, like going to the studio with an artist, seeing how he creates a song, kind of at the same time I'm envisioning like, oh, like this is how a music video should look, or this is what the cover art should be for this song. And you kind of like get into that zone together, talking about like, oh, we should do this, we should do that. I've done a lot with, for example, with Chucky. I love to like listen to his stuff. Same with Emotional Oranges, like listen to their new stuff, just like talk about ideas, get into like, oh, we should totally like go to Brazil and shoot a video for this, and even though that stuff might never happen, like that's that's where I draw a lot of inspiration from. There's a couple people that I follow closely that I'm a big Kenneth Capello fan. Very underrated photographer in my opinion. Definitely one of the best music photographers of our generation. Same for this guy called Anton Corbijn. He's from Groningen, and he's amazing music. He photographed Nirvana and stuff. He's like legend. So like I draw inspiration from those kind of people in the sense of they are like in my photography career. That's kind of where I aspire to be. And it's just a bunch of different stuff. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I watch a lot of podcasts. I always watch the Full Send podcast. I don't know if you guys know that. They have interesting guests on there, man.
They had a very big music director on there, right? That was insane. That podcast with
Which
Cole
one?
Bennett.
Music video director. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, Cole Bennett, for example, like that I love to watch. Like Cole Bennett, definitely a person who's done inspiring stuff. So that's the kind of stuff I draw inspiration from as well. But also like their interviews with the one they did with Nav was really good. Yeah, the one they did with the Wolf of Wall Street was crazy.
yeah. I saw that too. It's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, all different kinds of stuff basically.
You quickly mentioned also music photography. Could you tell me what it was like the first time that you entered one of those festivals or maybe
Hmm.
concerts?
So I had slight experience in the Netherlands, like working with Kancha, Busy. So I kind of knew the environments of venues and festivals. And then in, I think it's 2017, I went to Wuha Festival. It's a festival here in the Netherlands. They just partnered with Rolling Loud last year. It's kind of the Rolling Loud of the Netherlands. They have every big hip hop artist. I went there in 2017, and I just with a ticket. I just went with my friends. And a day before, a friend of mine said, "I have a backstage pass. I'm shooting it. I'll see you there." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." I'm like, "How you going there, by the way?" Because we lived in the same area. I was like, "How are you going there, by the way? Can I drive with you?" He said, "What do you mean drive?" I was like, "Because it's quite far." He's like, "This shit's not in Amsterdam." I was like, "No, it's in Tilburg. It's like a 2 hour drive." And so he's like, "Oh, then I'm not going." And he said, "You can have my backstage pass," but he mainly gave that to me because it came with two free drinks. So he's like, "Oh, you take my pass and take the two free drinks." And I was like, "Cool." I mean, shit. I mean, I was like 18. I'm like, "Damn, free drinks." So we're there. I have the pass. It worked. Um, and then one of the friends I was with said, "Yo, you should try to go backstage and take photos." And he had this film camera. Before this, I've only been shooting on digital. And I went backstage and I met Tyler the Creator, and I didn't take photos of him because I mean I did, but I didn't because I don't know if you've ever like took a photo on like one of those point and shoot film cameras, but basically when you flash it, like it shows the flash first to focus, and then you got to press and it actually flashes. I didn't know that, so every time I did the test flash, I thought I already took the picture. So I thought I took like 30 pictures. I only ended up taking like three. But I met Tyler the Creator, ASAP Ferg, Young Thug, and then like Tyler the Creator's crew like Taco and Jasper Dolphin. I was at some point I was like on stage with ASAP Ferg next to Schoolboy Q and stuff. Like
Wow.
I just like
Did you talk to them or was it just
no,
like
I
you
was
were in
too
the same
scared. I
room?
was too scared. Tyler started talking to me. That's the only reason I ended up speaking with him.
What do you guys talk about?
It was a weird conversation. He just stopped me, and then it was brief, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a photographer. Let me take a photo." And he like let me do it, but then it like did the test flash, and then at some point he started talking to Young Thug, and I just like walked up and started taking some photos, but I also only ended up taking one that actually worked. But that was the moment that even though those photos, like the three I made, like sucked, and but that was the moment I felt like, man, like this, like, I can get close to these people, and with the small camera that worked. So I got my first point and shoot film camera, and then I just started trying to get access to anything and everything and bring that low camera because I felt like me being so young, I was like 18, 19, something like that, having this super small camera, no one was really intimidated by it, and everyone just kind of let me around and take photos. So that experience definitely helped. And quickly after that, I just the only thing I needed to do at that point was like boost my confidence. Like, yo, like just walk up to them, and be super like, yo, what up? I'm trying to take some photos, and that started working out. And then it quite quickly became routine, especially for like festivals and stuff. I still go to Wuha every year. It becomes like quite routine. I just meet cool people. By now, I know like almost all artists like are signed to the same big management agencies or labels. So often, like I'm already in touch with their team before even meeting them, and now it's like a real comfortable thing. Yeah.
How did shooting film photography change your creative process? Because it's a big difference, right, between digital and film.
Hmm. At first, at first it was just the I like now. Obviously, I mean now it's crazy. You can't even buy film in stores anymore because like it's sold out and stuff, and like the hype for it is huge. But at the time, it wasn't really something too many people did. Definitely not in Amsterdam. You had obviously you had Places Plus Faces from London. He was doing uh, a great job documenting people in London. He still does. Built out his brand so good. And that was kind of I was like I looked at that. I was like, oh shit, there's something I could do in in Amsterdam. And I mainly started to enjoy. I started to enjoy the fact that that camera. I mean, still that's the thing, but especially when you're like literally 19 years old, it's so unintimidating that often when I saw other photographers try to get a photo, they would either be simply shut down or an artist would like pose, do a quick like, you know, and keep it moving. As to where with me, they would just let me stick around and I would just be like, oh, I don't really want a photo of you doing just a middle finger or a peace sign. I'm gonna just take some photos of you like while you walk around type thing. And I started to really enjoy the art of those candid moments. Like a lot of my photos are photos I don't think most photographers, or I'm sure most photographers could never capture because I really try to, be have them comfortable around me, kind of be a fly on the wall, and just take photos of moments that other people couldn't get to experience. Man, there's artists that I've hung out with like two, three times and that I'd never taken photos of until the fourth, fifth time that I saw them, and they really like knew who I was, what I did, what I wanted to do, and then they let me. So that's something that really changed in the creative process. Like I really started to appreciate the art of getting up close and personal with someone instead of just taking a photo.
And it has really worked, right? Because now they invite you on tours, and
Hmm.
I think it's also the result of being patient, right? Like you were really
Hmm.
patient. You didn't want to just shoot like the photo to have the photo. It was you really want to make them comfortable. Uh, yeah, like could you tell some more about that? Like making how do you go on about making someone feel comfortable? Is it just you talk to them, you just
I
wait for your
mean,
moment?
I'm I'm myself, so I'm like just try to be a genuine, calm guy. In the beginning, it was different. Like in the beginning, I did everything to get the photo. I would like anyone with more than 50,000 Instagram followers. I would be like, yo, what up? Like, but I I think a good part of having done that in like the first year of taking photos, I've literally met so many of my idols, of the people I grew up listening to, of the people I'm a fan of, that I I can kind of like have like even though I'm sometimes really impressed by someone in the room, I tend to not show it and just keep myself and really be like, oh yeah, you're a human too, and you're a cool person too, and we can have like a leveled conversation. Even though I listen to your music every day, we can like still have a leveled conversation. So I think that's a big part of it, and just being myself. I mean, being able to feel the room. I mean, there's also definitely artists I've met who I haven't leveled with, and then just kind of let it go. If the vibe is not there, if someone's not feeling it, you can tell if someone's not feeling it. Is not in the mood for talking to someone. Is not in the mood for having their picture taken. And then I just also kind of easily let it go. I'm not gonna bother people to get a photo. So I kind of like try like, oh, if me and certain person get into a good conversation, we can laugh about certain things. Like sometimes you have spark same interest. That's like the moments I try to be like, oh, I'm actually like I'm a photographer and would love to like capture some images of you.
So like the personal connection comes before the photo, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, not now nowadays often. Yeah, yeah. I try to.
What would be some advice that you would give young photographers that are starting out their craft, and perhaps like you when you were 18?
The main one is the corniest one, I guess, that everyone would say is just do it. Like nothing is holding you back. Even if something is holding you back, it's still worth it to just go out there and try. Yeah, we are blessed enough to live in this era where you could hit up anyone in the DMs. Like literally an artist that is coming to Amsterdam next week. I just literally DM'd him. I was like, "Yo, you have a show in Amsterdam next week. I'm trying to take some photos with you." And he just literally replied right before you guys got here. He replied with, "Let's do it." So it's like that is possible. You can just go out and do it. You don't need very expensive equipment to try. Like, man, the iPhone has got a good camera. When I'm with Emotional Oranges, we do like video stuff. I do it on iPhone. You can film stuff on your iPhone. You can take photos on your iPhone. You can buy a disposable camera and do film stuff with that. You can get for $50. You can buy a point and shoot film camera online. Everything is really possible right now. Just gotta find your own style. That's actually an advice I would give. Gotta find your own style. That's something that took me a while. I tried to when I was younger. I would really try to be like someone else, and not a specific person, but I would just look at other people's Instagrams like, oh, they got stuff looking like this. I'm gonna try to have it look like that. And I, now I let that go. My stuff needs to look like my stuff, and I think the main style I have right now is the fact that I don't have a style. It's like sometimes I take a photo and I'm like, oh, this would look great in black and white, even though I 99% of the time don't do black and white. And then another time I'm like, oh, I'm shooting. Lately I've been shooting a lot on like Instax, like Polaroid style films. I'm feeling that right now, so I'm shooting a lot on that. That's what I really try to make, like, let's try to make it all my own, whatever I kind of feel like. And I think that's a good advice. Just like do whatever you feel like. If it feels good, if you're having fun, then it's good.
What would be I mean, you mentioned a lot of advice, and I'm sure there are a lot of things that you would tell your younger self, but what is something that you really needed to know when you were younger and you were just starting out?
Well, that's a difficult question. I would I would definitely tell myself what I just said earlier. Like, yo, don't look at others for what they do. Look at others for like a level to work at for sure, but like don't try to have your stuff look like someone else's stuff. Like find your own way. And I don't know. I wish like maybe sometimes like now whenever someone like DMs me questions on Instagram like, oh, I want to go to so and so's concert next week and take photos, how would I approach it? I always say how I would do it, and I would wish I had that more. I feel like a lot of people try to gatekeep secrets or things. I do never tell which camera I use. That's one thing, but
Weapon
if
of choice.
yeah, but it's also just because I don't want too many people to buy it, so and the price goes up. So it's I just yeah, maybe like have someone that would just tell me their ways the way I would tell my ways to others. That's some because yeah, like I think the world is big enough for every single person. Like photography is becoming a more and more common job. With the internet being what it is nowadays, video guys, creative guys, photo guys, designers, we are needed more and more every day. There's enough money for all of us to be made. So I don't see a reason in gatekeeping. I'm really close friends with a bunch of photographers. One photographer that lives here in Antwerp as well. His name's Indy. We are very similar. Like our works are not similar, but the kind of work we do is very similar. He is also documenting hip hop culture through photography. So often we're at the same events, and we always said to each other like, this is like we're never. It's always a partnership. Like if he meets Lil Uzi for a photo, he will just introduce me to Lil Uzi to also get a photo, and I would do the same thing for him. And I feel like there's too much still going on. Like, oh no, like that's my artist, and you don't work with him. Like if I'm on tour, like when I'm on tour with Thouxanbanfauni or Uno the Activist, for example, and a photographer that I follow or follows me on Instagram is like, yo, you're coming to Paris. I live in Paris. Can I come take photos? I bring them. I'm like, for sure, come and take photos of him. I don't mind that. I'm not protective over him. It's like, no, that's my artist, and I'm the only one that takes photos of him. And I wish that's something that I had more when I just started out. Someone that would just, I had a few, but just some more people that would just been like, hey man, for sure, come around and try to do your thing.
This is insane because just when you're speaking about this, I'm getting like a crazy flashback. Like the first time I contacted you was through Instagram. I think I asked you some advice, but it was like way back. Like I took some photos of.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I hope I didn't contradict myself.
No, not at all. It's spot on. Like I took some photos for Frenna and I asked you
Hmm.
some advice on how to edit. And like for me, like I just started out. Like I hadn't done anything. It was like 3 years ago. And I asked you, and you gave me your phone number. You were like, "Yo, give me a call. We'll sort this out." I'm always looking for like to collaborate with people.
Hmm.
And I remember because my mom was a photographer, so I went over to her. I was like, "Yo, like this guy that takes like photos of like the craziest people just like reacted to me." And yeah, like I remember that so vividly. And I think you've been a great advocate for what you're just saying. It's beautiful,
Hmm.
and I think like you help like even for me like now you bring it up, I'm getting like goosebumps. Like it really leaves an imprint on people, and what you're saying is helping people, just being nice also,
Yeah.
like so important. And
Yeah.
you're doing a great job at it because I
Thanks. Yeah. No. I think that's definitely important because at the end of the like that's the whole thing. Like the guy I just mentioned, Indy, actually for the like I met him vaguely one time in Paris, and then I had an exhibition in Amsterdam, and he came, and he was like, "Yo, I'm also like trying to pick up this thing of also shooting artists," and he quite quickly, I would say like I don't know, don't quote me on the numbers, but I would say like a year and a half into his photographer journey, he became Billie Eilish photographer. Went on tour with her, huge job, huge opportunity, obviously. That's the thing too. Like if people that you help in the beginning start doing cool shit, they will bring you along their journey as well. Like Indy, Indy toured with Puya, and that got me into taking photos of Puya. Stuff like that. It's like that's what goes around comes around. So if you're nice, like that out of the 20 people I might reply to DM, one of them might like blow up and be the next big photographer, and then they're always gonna know, damn, like you was nice to me in the beginning, so I'm gonna help you out too. So yeah,
do you believe in karma and good karma as well?
of course, of course.
Nice. Has there ever been like a moment where you helped someone out and that came back to you? Like you mentioned Puya, was there something else that you remember vividly that you were like, oh damn, like this guy just started out and now I'm here with him in a big project?
I mean, obviously a couple artists that became big, like ASAP Tawai, like he just started releasing. I think I did literally his first or second song. I did the cover art. Like he just started releasing music when I met him. I'm still cool with like we were just in Paris 3 months ago together. Like I still speak to him a lot, and his manager especially I still speak to all the time. So that kind of stuff. Same with Emotional Oranges. I met them at their first ever Amsterdam concert, and for 250 people. And
Wow.
earlier this year we did like 900 or something in Amsterdam, and we just did 10,000 people in Korea. So there's artists I've like stuck with over their career that I like they believed in me, but I also believed in them. You know, like I also sacrificed my time. Like a lot of the times, like in the beginning, like the Spotify Billboard. Um, I said earlier, I did that for free. I did that as a favor, and that was a real like they wanted to pay me. They were like, "How much you want for this?" And I was like, "No, like I believe in what goes around comes around." It did, and same with ASAP Tawai in the beginning. All I did with him was for free, and then now with the brand and stuff, he had a chance to return a favor, and he does. So I definitely believe in karma. What goes around comes around, and that kind of stuff.
What's the craziest place you've been? Because you mentioning all these different artists, different places. I've seen you work with Post Malone. Like took a picture of him. You also
Hmm.
mentioned like Korea. Like what is the craziest place you've been? You were like, whoa, this is so different than what I'm used to.
Korea was crazy.
Yeah.
South Africa was amazing. That's all recent, so it's like still very fresh in my mind.
What's
Um,
what's your best memory in South Africa?
South Africa was just we had this guy called Hayden. He's a British guy that lives in South Africa. He like showed us around for the whole time there. We were there for like 5 days. Um, we went to like the top of Table Mountain in Cape Town.
Did you
Then we
hike?
hmm?
Did you hike?
Oh no, we took like a thing up. So we had no time. We went to the club with another artist in Johannesburg, and all that just went so smoothly, and everyone was so friendly, so polite, so good. Was so well taken care of. Food, amazing food. So that whole experience was just a real vibe, like and you're really like yeah, you're really in Africa, man. Like when you're like on top of Table Mountain, like that's crazy. You see so much nature and jungle, and that's just I was just like, damn, we're like, we're really in Africa. So that was cool.
It's so different, right? Like the other side, like outside of the world, but like it's like a different world. Like
It's a real different world, but then also it's not. Like everyone there is just also a cool person, and they're excited to meet you, and like everyone there is like, dude, you're from Amsterdam? What? That's crazy. Like, how's that? Um, so that's pretty. I like that. It's pretty cool.
what about Korea? Because they're like that's different.
Yeah, Korea was wild. I like that a lot. We had like it was like shitty. We were there for quite a while, but there were these floods, like the heaviest floods they had in 80 years. The water was like this high.
Wow.
Cars were floating and stuff. So we couldn't go out for a couple days. We were like locked in the hotel. Thank God the hotel had like one of the nicest hotel restaurants I've ever had. Like the food was amazing, so we were pretty good. But yeah, no, we went to the mall and stuff. We went into the towns. Just stores there are crazy. Like window installations they got and stuff. Like most stores here, they just got a doll wearing clothes and then maybe a couple attributes.
They have
They're
robots or something like.
for real, like robots moving things, like holograms. You see the craziest stuff. We saw it at this one store called Atmos. They had they had an Air Force One exhibition going on in the store. They just had a wall full of Air Force, like $100,000 Air Forces on the wall and stuff like that, like crazy stuff. Saw some wild shit there, and the people are so polite, like fans that will like see EO on the street. They like don't come up or and ask for a picture. They just like stop and wave and like make hearts with their hands. They do this the whole time, like this, like a little heart, like this.
Yeah.
It's a really cool experience. Like really cool how people act and how different they be towards towards the artists and stuff. It was nice.
What is the coolest thing about photography, or like photography, like just doing your job because you get to meet all these people, you get to go to all these places? Is there
Yeah.
one thing that you have like, that's like the most important to me?
I definitely like to travel, um, making the friends, having friends all over the world is wild too. Like I was talking with my girlfriend yesterday, saying like, oh, we really miss LA because like two of my best friends live in LA, and that's actually like if you think about it, that's a crazy thing. Like that's a whole different continent, bro. And like I have best friends there, and it's like if I go there, it feels like home because like my friends are there, and one of my friends is married. You know, is like at his house with his wife.
How did you meet them?
Well, one of them is Dutch. It was my old roommate,
Okay.
and he married an American girl. The other one is my, and his name's Juice, by the way. He's like one of my longest friends. We met when I lived in Utrecht. No, we even met before I moved to Utrecht. We met on Instagram,
Place to
and
be.
then my other friend Miggy, he's a video director, and I was just a fan of his work. And he one time posted that he had a shoot in Amsterdam, and so I just replied. I was like, "Yo, I had no clue who it was for." Um, and I was like, "Yo, whatever it is, if you're shooting a video, I'll do some behind the scenes photos for you or something because I'm a big fan of your work. I'd love to meet you." And we just I met him. Like that was the craziest coincidence. Like the video that he shot was in like the location for the video was my neighborhood, like literally like 2 streets from my house. So I just walked over there, met him, and we just hung out for 3 days straight. I'd never been to the U.S. at this point. He was like, "Yo, you should come visit me and see what it's like out here." Went there. Like he lives in L.A., sunny. It's like, damn, that's amazing. And he just showed me around the city. Like hung out with him for like a full 2 weeks. And now every time I'm like back out there, I like hang out with him and my friend Juice.
You have any ambitions to go live in the US one day? Because I know like a lot of things goes on there, especially when it comes to creative
hmm
stuff.
I don't know if it, I don't know. Um, I really like working in Europe. There's a lot of, I mean, obviously, LA is a place where a lot of stuff happens. Same goes for New York, but that's also the place where the most competition is. Now, I'm not saying yes or no. Like maybe at some point in my life, that's something I'd explore. But for now, I feel like here in Europe, I really have an opportunity to be in a position of like, um, sounds weird, but like one of the best. I've like, it's doable for me to reach like a top position. I feel like in the next 3 4 years when it comes to photography and like the kind of photography I do.
What would that look like when you're at a top position? You mean like working with different brands, like working with artists, going on tours? What is the like
Yeah,
top
it's
performance,
probably
Jesse?
like what I do now, but just at a greater scale. Now I work with really dope artists, and I do great jobs. But there's still room for bigger artists and their bigger jobs. You know, I would love to when I look at, for example, the Kenneth Capello guy I said earlier. When you look at his work, he like shoots artists' album covers, and I'm like a Billie Eilish album cover or a magazine cover for with ASAP Rocky on it. I feel like that's a level I can still achieve here because there's magazines out here that have great features and have amazing European photographers shoot covers, shoot articles. That's like a world I haven't explored too much, like publications and stuff like that. So that's something I definitely want to try first. But also, like I said in the beginning of this, is like I kind of live my life day by day. So if opportunity arises, I am not pro or opposed to anything. I'm just kind of like, we'll see where it takes me. I don't have like set goals. That's like, oh, next year I want to live in New York and then I want to make 1 million before I'm 35, and then no, like we'll see. I kind of we'll see how it goes.
And also off camera, we had a small conversation. I asked you how would you uh, describe yourself, and you were like, yeah, I mean, I do photography, but if I start doing DJing, then it doesn't make me DJ directly, and doesn't make me lose my photographer title.
Yeah.
I feel like you're so flexible, and that's such a strength. Could you tell me some more about that flexibility that you have in your life, but also in your projects,
hmm
because you do so many different things.
hmm Yeah. So what it is like obviously now often I would have to introduce myself. as either like creative director and photographer because that's just what people get. That's like a job. They're like, oh, photographer, he holds a camera. But yeah, like that. Like I might want to get into DJing just for fun. It doesn't make me a DJ. Even if I do weekly gigs, it might make me a DJ. But I would also still do photos, and I would also still do run a brand, and then maybe one day I'll just stop doing the brand, or maybe one day I'll stop DJing. I don't think any of that should really like matter. I think my main goal and that is like I'm just trying to have it's all me. That's the most important thing. Like at first I really tried to do all have all the things that I do be divided into different things. It's like no, I'm like a photographer as Shots Fired. I am a graphic designer as Jesse, and I'm trying to have a brand that I'm doing with something. I think it's all, but what it comes down to is it's all just Jesse. I am all just it's all I'm all the same guy, and I just do whatever I think is fun, and that's really what I want to stick to. And that's something I've realized like mainly over like the past 3 years with the pandemic and stuff. Just like looking at my work and stuff, like everything I do has that's the red line in the story. It's like everything I do has me in it. I'm I'm the guy. So I want to make that the brand, and I want to make that the title. I don't want to have to be like, oh yeah, I think it's so lame, and no, no shade to anyone who does this, but when you open like a someone's Instagram bio and it's like creative director, content creator, photographer, stylist, makeup artist, and it all in one, and it's like, like I don't want to have to explain all the things I do. I just want to be like, oh, I'm Jesse, and if you want something cool done, you can come to me, and we'll try to make it happen. Cause like that's the thing too. Like I'm also open to trying new stuff. You know, I might wanna if you say like, yo, Jesse, I think you could really make we could do an album art, but I need you to paint on it. I'll try it. Let's try painting. Wouldn't make me a painter. It would just be part of the Jesse Koch brand. So that's something I'm really trying. Cole Bennett's a great example of that. Cole Bennett is a brand. It's his name. He's a whole brand. Like he does music videos, he does commercials, clothing. He has an office, like crazy office with like a basketball court. I don't know if you ever seen that shit. That's cool. It's like a cool brand.
Yeah, and yeah, it's fascinating, especially just talking about Cole Bennett. But I think also in the creative world, like maybe it's the older generation, like my parents, like in the beginning, like even with the podcast, they were like, oh, but like how is that going to be sustainable? Because I also do study,
Hmm.
and it was like, no, you first have to do your study. I think that's smarter. And I mean, you also did a study, right? Just to get back to that, did you finish your study and did it serve you in any way? Because now you're doing all types of stuff. You did graphic design, right?
Yeah, multimedia design was the
Okay.
name of the course. I finished it. So I don't know if mainly Dutch people or international people watch your podcast, but man, the way the school system is set up here, if you have to explain it to an American person, it's really weird. But so I basically like we did it's MBO, and then I did level 4. But you can do that earlier on in life or something. Basically, I started college when I was 15. So yeah, and it took 4 years, so I finished it by 19. But it's not like a real college. But yeah, that was my multimedia design course. I definitely learned stuff there in the sense of some technical stuff about cameras because we had video class. It was, like I needed a MacBook for it, so that was great because like I had access to Photoshop and Premiere. So I definitely learned stuff in in that sense that I in like the basics. I do feel like so my last year of school, I didn't go to school. I had a talk with my teacher. This was right when I moved to Utrecht, and I had the job offer from Busy to work on his rebranding. And this is also the time I'm already speaking with like members of ASAP Mob and stuff, working with them. So I had the opportunity to move and do this real work. And I told my school like, yo, first my school was against it. They're like, no, you can't do that. You can't like move away and not go to school. But then we had a talk with my parents were really pro. My parents had even said like, yo, if they're really not gonna let you, like, you should just quit school. And then we had a talk with my parents and stuff, and it was really like, hey, like, what are you teaching these kids here? It's how to, get a job in the creative field. And, this guy right here, he has an opportunity. He can move, he can live on his own. He's above the age of 18, so legally I can quit school here. And either you gonna, let him stay, because my whole proposal was like sending him my work as schoolwork, but my actual work that I was getting paid for. It's like either we're gonna do that and you give him a diploma, or not, because I can still fail if they think it's shitty, but or just gonna uh, keep going, or keep going doing the job and quit school. And they agreed to having me like do my final year, like not in school. So it was great. It's actually funny. The day they we had to make like a video as a graduation project, and I just did a music video that I worked on. It's my graduation project, and they showed it in the cinema, and I couldn't make it to the viewing because I had a big shoot. So, but I do think that was a good decision.
Also for them, because now they have one of the greatest alumni in their school.
That's amazing. I like actually every time like someone does cool stuff with photography and video and has an interest in hip hop music, they pitch me as a potential internship company. And I've had a
No
couple of
way.
interns that went to the same school as me that are doing really cool stuff. So that's great too. Yeah.
It's so cool, and I think this is a question that most creatives don't really like. But is there work, like, is there one project that you're super proud of, or like one picture that you look back to and you're like, that's my prized possession, or is just everything? It's also a good
No,
answer.
I mean, it's like there's certain, there's a few things that I really value. Like obviously, my work with Juice World, because of the fact that he passed and is one of, I think one of the most iconic artists of this generation. Really happy for how I like how that all happened. Like actually, that's got that job because of Cole Bennett. Because I met Juice World at Wuha Festival. He was like a last minute replacement for 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine went to jail, and I met him there, and I was just like, damn, man, I really love you. He only had 3 songs out. Show was super short. He performed like Lucid Dreams twice to fill the show. He like came
Crazy
out on
song.
it and then finished on it. But I talked to him, great guy, and I was already cool with this guy called DJ Scheme, Ski Master Slump Gods DJ, and so we just all like kind of hung out at the festival. My friend Emmanuel was there, and we all like talked and kind of got like talking to Juice World. And I was like, yo, if you're ever back in Amsterdam or whatever, like let me know. I'm trying to shoot. And he got me in contact with this manager, and then Cole Bennett was on tour with him in Europe shooting the music video for, I forgot the song, Armed and Dangerous. They shot it all over Europe, and he was just doing like some simple like clips of every show that Juice would like use for either the video, or I think they also posted some stuff on Instagram. And then the manager hit me because Cole Bennett was sick when they were in Amsterdam, or he couldn't make it to the show. So they were like, "Yo, we have the show tonight. Can you help us with 2 things? We need a camera guy, and we need to have some pretty girls come around." I was like, "Okay, well, the first thing I can definitely help with, and the second one we'll see." And then they had me shoot the show and do photos with Juice after. And then I saw them a couple times after that and took pictures of him. But I feel like that time, that show, like that's where I took the photo of him that most people know of mine. It's him wearing his own merch in front of a white wall, and then it's like a set of him like portraits, and then a set where you can see that he's wearing these Gucci pants that are ripped because he like jumped around in them and stuff, and they had like ripped from here to here, and you see his whole leg is exposed. Yeah, that's really those photos, but just the whole like every time I worked with Juice World and hung out with him and stuff, I really value. It was really crazy to think that he, became such an icon, is who he is now. Same with Lil Peep. Same with Lil Peep. I had a similar. I only met Lil Peep once, but I had a similar experience that I just very last minute decided to go and take photos with him, and then a month or two later he passed, and it was like a whole thing, and I was like, damn, like it's a crazy moment. Um, just a crazy moment for everyone. I feel like in my personal career, but also like just like having documented people that are so influential and so big. Like it's pretty crazy.
You can be proud of yourself, man. I think your work is amazing, and also like something that I didn't know and now I know, and maybe other people also didn't know because it's hard to see through a picture. Is all of the process behind the
Hmm.
personal connection you develop with these guys, the like the genuineness also, like you actually want to help, you're kind, and just like you helped me, like you're always there for those people. And I think as a photographer, it's also what it takes. If you really want to go to those heights, like you have to become good at
Hmm.
being nice, like or just be nice. It's
Yeah.
not something you can be good at, and it's a long term game. Like you
Yeah.
skip all the short term gratification for the like a quick photo that where it's like, oh, I didn't want to get that taken. Like all the paparazzi are, no shame on them, but like you actually build a connection with them, and
Hmm.
that's what brings you further. And it takes time and patience, but you're doing it, and it's
Yeah.
crazy. And yeah, massive respect.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask you the signature successful question, which would be, what does success mean to you, Jesse?
I feel like it's a good question. Definitely, it's a difficult question for me personally. Um, Even though that's might sound a bit corny or whatever, but like um, I have, for me personally, like my personal success is like I have a roof over my head. Um, I get to I eat every day. I basically I'm able to provide and take care of myself. I've been able to do so ever since I'm 18 years old. Um, I have steady jobs. I have a girlfriend. My life is going well in that sense. And obviously, there's always like personal successes, like moments, like stuff that I'd like to achieve. But I do think in general, though the basics, that's already success. Like, hey man, like I can wake up every day and live my life and do fun stuff, and I'm all like doing it because I made this my job, and I'm having fun doing it and doing cool things. So in that sense, I would already say that's a success, and I'm doing good for myself. But obviously, there's also always like more bigger successes. I'd love to do some certain things in life. There's always, and when I've done those things, there's probably new things I'd like to do. So it's a bit of both. Like I'm pretty content with what I have, and I try to be as happy with all that I have as I can. I try to make sure that every day I'm like, yo, it's another day of being able to do cool shit and live off my art. But then on the other hand, I also really make sure that I never get too comfortable. Like I always want to make sure that I have goals, things I want to reach, places I want to go. Um, like I see who Gashi is. Gashi's an artist. Is actually also a friend of mine. He he named his first album Staircase or Stairs, and then his new album's called Elevators. And I think that's a really beautiful way of looking at a career and looking at life. Is like, you know, if you're on the fifth floor in the elevator, you're already, you know, you're going up already. It's going well, but you know, the elevator got to keep going. And every time you reach a new floor, you got to be happy you're on that floor, but there's one above it. So that's kind of how I try to look at it as well. Keep going.
It's a beautiful approach, and you said it's a corny answer, but I think it's actually like a very nice answer, especially the metaphor you or your friend with regards to stairs. Just like one of the first questions I asked you with regards to the ladder, like you're climbing a ladder and
Hmm.
you keep on going, and super
Yeah.
inspirational for young photographers, for creatives, and for like just people that they want to do something.
Hmm.
It's very inspirational, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been.
Yesterday,